Hey everybody, good afternoon. It is about 2:03 Pacific Daylight Time, Pacific Time if you will, here in Newman, California on the West Coast. And I am here to basically, as you see the title, do a little bit of discussion on My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. More importantly, we're here to discuss shipping. Yes, shipping of characters. Now, in case you guys don't know, but I'm pretty sure you do, in case you're wondering what shipping is, when it comes to any kind of franchise, any kind of franchise, and any kind of adaptation of that franchise in any kind of media, shipping is um, basically the result of two characters, male and female, getting together. That's the way I look at it. Male and female getting together, and basically that's what you get with any kind of show with a for who knows how long. But more specifically here with My Little Pony Friendship is Magic is you've been getting ever since the beginning, I believe, we've been getting a lot of shipping of characters. Whether it's been canonized, teased, hinted, or as I say in the description, fans basing it off of what they see from certain moments in the series. That includes as well it being teased. So yeah, basically we basically a lot of people have been talking about this lately over the past almost the past week now. More importantly, ever since the episode, She's All Yak officially debuted, and even before then, with the synopsis for that episode, um, basically it was teased that that a ship was going to occur, or at least possibly happen between the characters, and honestly, you can't really blame anybody's thoughts on this whole situation. You know, you can't blame anybody for talking about ships again. I mean, even before the even before, like I said, the episode came out and people read the synopsis for it. They were all like, what is, what's going on here? What's the deal? What's happening? And even a week before, you had some people, some fans like Miss Anthropony Map, kind of worried that a certain ship that he wants to see, along with some other fans, I'm pretty sure they want to see, was going to be sunk. It was going to be in danger. Well, I think honestly, and this is just my opinion, guys, just my honest opinion, I think that ship has been sunk. I'm not trying to be mean about that, but I think it has been sunk. Uh, excuse me, if you will, it has been sunk, or at least potentially sunk. I'll put it this way: it's got some holes in the boat right now, or holes in the lifeboat. As some fans would put it, because basically there was a moment at the end of the episode. Um, there's a moment at the end of the episode, and I pointed this out to somebody on the MLP Facebook, on the MLP at the MLP forums, I should say. I mentioned this to someone at the MLP forums. I said, because they were discussing something with somebody else when they were talking about the episode, and I pulled up a picture. I pulled up a picture of the of this moment, of this scene, and basically I asked, really, because they were talking about, oh well, Yona and Sandbar are still friends and all that, and I'm talking about it's not about it's not it's harmless, to invite, it's nothing bad, and it's harmless to invite a friend to go to the dance with you, or go to a dance be or date for a dance, and that's it, and nothing else. And because a lot of people, like I said, are kind of worried about this. Well, not a lot of people, but a good amount of fans are kind of worried at the fact that Sandbar and Yona are going to be together, because they want Sandbar to be with Ocelis. They want Sandbar to be with Smolder. They want Yona to be with Gallus. You know, they want Sandbar to be with Silverstream. And if you're a supporter of the Pride community, no offense, they want Yona to be with Silverstream. They want Yona to be with Ocelis. They want Yona to be with Smolder. Heck, they want Gallus to be with Sandbar. Uh, so when this moment at the end, towards the end of the episode, where they embraced Ace and everything, you see like a shooting star in the background falling from the sky. And usually, and I mentioned this at the forums, it's usually symbolism when it comes to romance and everything. And one person even pointed out that, even one person pointed out that basically, let me see if I can find it here on the forums. But the one person that I communicated with uh, said that they were just hugging, but it was weird that while they hugged, while they were hugging, Yona put her foot up. Her put a let me see what they say here. Hold on. Okay, this is what R dot D dot dash. This is R dot D dot dash said. Oh, it's R period D period, then R period R D period dash R period D period dash. This is what they said. Well, this is what I kind of. Well, this is what they said originally. They were communicating with another member called Cypherhoof on the forums. They said, well, this is what they said at first. This is what RD Dash said at first. They said, and this was about 14 hours ago when they put this up. They said, well, or they commented. They said, and I quote, "Well, they are just friends, thank goodness. So there is no ship for me unless we ship people just because they invited each other to the dance." Okay, they got a right to their opinion, right? And that is a good point. We don't have to ship people or characters or whatever if they're friends and they just invite each other. Okay, fine. Now, Cypherhoof replied by saying, both outcomes. This was Cypherhoof's reply to RD Dash at the MLP forums. They said, both outcomes are understandable. A dance is a perfect opportunity to invite someone you want as a special sun pony, to a date, or special yak, of course, or in this case. But equally, if you don't have a special samba pony and / or crush, inviting a friend is okay too. That's what Cypherhoof said. Cypherhoof said in response. Again, this is what Cypherhoof says in response to RD Dash at the MVP forums when they were talking about She's All Yak and the situation with Sandbar and Yona. Basically, they said both outcomes are understandable. A dance is a perfect opportunity to invite someone you want as a special sun pony to a date, or special yak, of course, or in this case. But equally, if you don't have a special sun pony and / or crush, inviting a friend is okay too. Now they go on to say, I'll finish off. They go on to finish it off by saying this could also be a process of elimination. Assuming that Gallus slash Silverstream and Ocellus slash Smolder are especially close, also without shipping being obligatory, of course. That really only leaves Sandbar and Yona without going outside the group, and the two non-fillers or flyers, of course. Basically, what they're saying is, let's assume Gallus and Silverstream end up being put together, because that has been hinted at in the past and that potentially could happen. And then let's say they decide, because a lot of shows are doing this lately, they decide to go the LGBTQ the LGBTQ route with Ocellus and Sandbar. Okay, fine. They're basically saying that if they decide to go those two shipping routes with those members of the student slash young six, then that leaves, of course, Sandbar and Yona to get together without going outside the group, and the two non-flyers, of course. Well, basically saying that this would probably be the best result without them introducing a new character into the fray. Now, my response to RD-'s original post 14 hours ago was, because remember, RD- said, well, they are just friends. Thank goodness there's always no ship for me unless we ship people just because they invited each other to the dance. Here's my response, and I added a picture as well. In fact, you can look at it. I have it on one of my videos here on my channel. It's the She's All Yak. The video that I use this picture as a thumbtack is She's All Yak opened / knocked down the door for interspecies ships to finally happen in the show. Now, again, this is what my response was to RD-'s post about them being just friends and no ship, unless they ship people because they invited each other to a dance. This was my response. I said, really? Then what do you call this scene? Shooting star in the background is symbolism. Romance stories have been known to do this. Oh, I put romance stories have known to this. Which is true. If you read a novel or you watch an episode that's romantic, and basically the episode is going to get two characters together that you've been wanting to see together or you didn't see coming, and even movies do this as well. A shooting star in the background is symbolism of romance. Like these two are going to end up together. Now, RD- did respond to me about an hour ago. RD- responded to me by saying, I don't see them kissing, with a wink emoji, a Fluttershy wink emoji, but then said this. RD- says, I don't see them kissing. This is just an awkward TV-Y hug, TVY hug, or TV-Y hug. Extremely awkward because she's holding her leg up in a kissing position, but kiss never happens. So what RD- is pointing out is all we're getting is a TV-Y hug, but the hug is extremely awkward because Yona is holding up her leg in a kissing position, but they're not kissing. And that is understandable because, in a sense, just like the shooting star is symbolism of two characters getting together, the hug, the way it is, could be seen as symbolism of them being together, of them getting together, but they're not kissing because, again, remember, despite the fact that you have a grown-up fan base of adult males and females in all ages and range and genders and all that, at the end of the day, this is still a show meant for kids. So kids may not want to see these two members of the student / young six who they can identify with kissing, because it might be like an icky moment for them. So the hug, the way it is with the shooting star, is just symbolism, in my opinion, of, yeah, something is happening here, but they're not straight out saying what it is just yet. They're not straight out saying what it is. And that's understandable. It really is understandable. I mean, don't get me wrong about that. Don't get me wrong about that. It is extremely understandable. You know, some people, some that would, excuse me, that would be misinterpreted by some fans. Now, some fans would find that moment a kind of awkward because it's like, well, wait a minute. The hugging, it should be a regular hug. Why is her hoof leg up like they're kissing? It doesn't make sense. And again, I think it's just symbolism. That's what it is. It's just symbolism, just like the shooting star is in the back. It's just a more safer way, especially because, again, remember, the show is meant for young kids, even though it's got a massive adult fan base. At the end of the day, it's still a show meant for young kids. So basically, the awkward hug, as RD dash, or as RD dash puts it, is kind of extremely awkward because you have Yona putting her leg up like like she's kissing Sandbar and he's kissing her back, but there's nothing like that. Expect something like that out of you know Cadence and Shining Armor, if you will. But point is, ever since this episode happened, ever since this episode happened, it's got, like I said, it's gotten people talking. It's gotten people to kind of bring up shipping again, in a way that, you know, like I said, it's not surprising if you hear anything. I was just adjusting my mic there, just adjusting the USB cord on my mic, or connection, that is. But anyway, it's it's gotten a lot of fans talking, believe it or not, and here's why it's gotten people talking. It's got me interested as well, and it's got me invested enough again, I should say, to want to talk, to discuss this, I should say. It's because over the past run, basically throughout the series run, there have been a lot of ships that have been canonized. There have been a lot of ships that have been teased, hinted at, and as I said in the video, or as I say in the description, so I say in the description here, if I can get back to it, hold on. As I say in the description, I'm here to basically discuss shipping of characters, some that are canon, semi or teased slash hinted at, some that fans use moments and scenes to justify, and some that possibly we don't see coming, but certain moments in the show could prove otherwise. Like I said, certain moments in the show could prove otherwise. So, again, the shipping of characters has been going on since the beginning. Especially, of course, as everybody knows, and it's no secret, if you go across the internet, especially here on YouTube, you go to DeviantArt, you go to the MLP, any MLP related websites, forums, aminos, if you will, and pretty much a lot of them, pretty much if you type in Sparity or you type in Spike and Rarity, you're going to get a ton of pictures. You're going to get some PMVs. You're going to get some PMVs, pony music videos. You're going to get some fanfics. You're going to get some webcomics that support these two being together, because pretty much since the beginning, the show staff, no matter the rotating change of people behind the scenes, have been teasing these two being together for a long time. Even one person commented to me that, believe it or not, Rarity and Spike's been teased since G1, Generation 1, and I'm assuming it had to do with a character that was very similar to Rarity. I don't know what the character's name was, but they had to be very similar to Rarity. Anyway, anyway, everybody supported that, and they continue to support that even to this day, especially with what happened in Best Gift Ever. But throughout the show, though, you've seen other ships. Now, of course, you've seen some ships go beyond romance and into marriage, like Shining Armor and Cadence, who is still a shop romance, who is still a top, I should say, romantic ship in the eyes of a lot of fans because they work off each other very well. You know, you have all these other ships as well, and it's like they've been teased as well, and and besides that, you've had, of course, what is it, Cranky Doodle and what's her name, Matilda. That was something that even went into that stage. Um, you just had a lot, and when it comes to the main cast of characters, the main seven, if you will, or main eight, it's been teased as much as well. I mean, if you want to throw Equestria Girls into the mix and pretty much acknowledge that it's canon, and let's be honest, it is. It's part of the continuity. If you don't believe me, go and watch Spring Breakdown, and that will confirm it. If you want to throw in Twilight and Flash Century, Twilight of Friendship is Magic, and Twilight Century and Flash Century, I should say, of Equestria Girls, then or if, even for a brief moment, the Flash Century of Friendship is Magic. You want to throw those two together? That's been teased. Fluttershy and Discord, people point out, has been teased. Just drinking some Pepsi there. But they've been teased, even with the one-time appearance, and possibly returning appearance of this character. You've had a cheese sandwich and Pinkie Pie teased by people. Some people are assuming that. You've had Rainbow Dash and Soren. Rainbow Dash and Flash Magnus. You've had Applejack and Carmel, if you will, Applejack and Carmel. And of course, like I said, Flush, Spike, and Rarity. And even Starlight and Sunburst. Heck, people have even indicated and pointed out that the show staff during season 6 and beginning of season 7, and even season 8, if you will, were trying to tease Starlight and Spike. And again, the list goes on and on and on. But when I look at ships that have been canon, that are canon in the show, officially, semi-official, or teased, or hinted at, of course, at the top of the list is Spike and Rarity. And then you got Cadence and Shining Armor. You got Cranky and Matilda. You got Big Mac and Sugar Bell now. You got Mod Pie and Mud Briar. And potentially now you got Sandbar and Yona. And here's the thing. It's basically the fact that the show staff knows what they're doing. I've said this before. They know what they're doing. They realize that we're in the final seasons, especially now. They realize we're in the final seasons. We're in the twilight years, if you will, to coin a phrase. We're in the twilight time of the show. So with us being in the, with us being in the moment, being in this moment of time, it's almost basically along the lines of, let's just get it done with, get it over with, and go from there. And that's how I see it. I think they want to get it done with. They want to get it over with. And I'm not talking the show. No, I'm not talking the show. I'm pretty sure if they wanted to, they continue doing the show for another season. I'm pretty sure they'd be okay with that. But what I'm talking about is they know that since we're in the last season, and a lot of these ships that fans want to see canonized, they want to see some kind of conclusion to, some resolution, that, like I said, are canon, semi-canon, teased, and hinted at, they realize we're in that home stretch to where they got to do this. They got to make this happen. They got to come up with some kind of resolution, some kind of conclusion overall. And that's what you're seeing here. That's what you're seeing, especially in the final seasons. You saw it in season 7, Big Mac Sugar Bell. You saw it in season 8 with Mod Pie and Mud Briar. You had it reignited as the Spike Rarity Sparity deal. It's out there. It is out there. I mean, heck, you're kind of seeing it with Cribble Pants and Clear Sky, which some fans are not too happy about because that sinks Cribble Pants and Rainbow Dash ship that some fans, I guess, wanted. But yeah, it's kind of we're kind of in that moment, if you will, kind of in that moment to where these ships are going to happen, and these are the ships that I just mentioned that are canon, semi-canon, hinted and teased at throughout the series. Fluttershy and Discord, a lot of people feel that has to be acknowledged as being official. I mean, they dropped a tease of it even through character like Spike. And by doing so, it's like they're acknowledging, yeah, we know. We're going to do something. We're going to do something about it, but they're not saying when or where. I mean, they had a moment at the beginning of the season where basically Discord took the bullet to protect Fluttershy. Why would Discord take the... And here's the thing. The way Fluttershy was concerned of him, and he puts his hand next to her face. It's like, come on, you are joking. You are joking. That's not indicating, yeah, they're more than just friends, or they're going to be. So, to me, I think it's just a matter of time before that happens, as well as Spike and Rarity. It's just a matter of time, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen before the show's out. I mean, I've even said that I would not be surprised if one of the last scenes we see before the book closes, or even after the book closes, and we get like an epilogue scene, one of the last things we see is all the main 7 or main 8 characters with families of their own and kids of their own, and that includes Spike and Rarity, that includes Fluttershy and Discord, you name it. I would not be surprised. And I don't think anybody else would be surprised either. But yeah, those are just some of the ships that are in that category. Now, there are some ships, though, some romantic ships that some fans have pointed out and said that basically feel they're justified in seeing and feel would fit better. One in particular is like the second most popular ship out there. It is the second most popular ship. Now, before I get to that, I do want to mention Starlight and Sunburst. You might say, well, how do you know that's going to be officialized? I don't know just yet, but it's probably going to head in that direction. There's no doubt about that, because you see the moments between the two. RD Dash mentions, Yona putting her leg up when her and Sandbar are embracing, and you got the shooting star in the background. Let me remind people of the fact that at the end of the 2-part premiere for season 6, Starlight did the same thing when she embraced Sunburst. So there's something there, and it's the building to it, but we don't know when and where it may happen. But anyway, getting back to what I was talking about. There are some ships that, as I said in the description, that fans use moments and scenes to justify. One of the more popular ships, almost right behind Rarity and Spike, Sparity, or Rare Spike as some people call it, is Apple Spike. Yeah, Applejack and Spike. And one fan called Disney Fanatic has compiled 2 videos called Applejack and Spike Moments between seasons 1 and 7. The first video is seasons 1 to 3. The second video is seasons 4 to 7. And when you watch the videos or you kind of skim through them and you see the moments that Disney Fanatic uses, it is understandable that why they would ship them. I mean, it is understandable. I mean, at the end of Ticketmaster, when Spike gets his ticket from Celestia, I think he comes out of the library, I believe, and Applejack's right there, and he's talking with her, and she's got this nice little like sweet look on her face, and then Spike just takes off like he's playing with her, and she's laughing, and she goes after him. At least follows suit. You know, some would say, you know, you take a look at what's the word I'm looking for? You take a look at, there's a moment in Princess Twilight Sparkle, or Twilight's Kingdom, I believe, where Spike shows up with the rest of the main 6 are, the rest of the main 7, I should say, are, and the first person to go right, or the first pony to go right to him and hold him, as he's just like out of it he's just completely out of it, and then he says, Twilight, help, whatever, and then just passes out, is Applejack. Now, a lot of people would even point out that in Shadow Play, when they saw the holographic imagery of what happened in the past with the pillars, Spike was right next to Applejack, and he was holding on to her leg while she was backing up. And again, there are moments. I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that whatsoever. And even people will point out, heck, even I talked about this. I said this when I did a review of Best Gift Ever. And I even typed it up and talked about it here on YouTube. When you look at who got who when it came to a result of the name draw, the name drawing or the cutie mark drawing of, excuse me, for the hearts warming helper thing they were going to do, the Secret Santa. I want you to think about this for a second. You see, Spike originally got Rainbow Dash. Now, again, despite how people feel about him doing a fast talk trade with Fluttershy, he eventually got Rarity. So, okay, fine, he got Rarity. Here's what's ironic. Rarity ended up getting Applejack. Who did Applejack get? I don't think it's hard to guess. If Spike got Rarity eventually through a fast talk trade with Fluttershy, if Spike eventually got Rarity and Rarity got Applejack, who did Applejack get? If you said Spike, you'd be correct. Because that's exactly who she ended up getting. Again, you would be correct because that's exactly who she ended up getting. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the creative staff would do that. That they would go and do that and put that reveal in after, like I said, Spike gets Rarity through the fast talk trade with Fluttershy, that it would be revealed when Applejack would come up to her that she has Spike. The writers know what they're doing because, again, Jim Miller told me in a tweet, because he was doing his Q&A this past Friday, he told me that the writers are very well aware of the shippers. That tells me right there, by saying, oh, we're well aware of the shippers, that they put that moment in Best Gift Ever to acknowledge they're aware of not just the Rarity Spike shippers. That's why they put Spike trying to get Rarity the perfect gift, but why they had Applejack reveal she had Spike, and Spike was the one she had to get a gift for. I mean, it's obvious that they know fans want to see Applejack and Spike together as much as fans want to see Rarity and Spike. But like I said, Disney Fanatic put these two videos together, did a great, phenomenal job. And ironically, Disney Fanatic's not the only one that supports this. There's a lot of people that support it. There is a ton. Well, I wouldn't say. Well, yeah, I would say about a ton, or a decent amount. I'll put it that way. Of Spike and Applejack PMVs. I mean, heck, somebody even did a, what was it, like a little audio play, role play a little before the song "If Only," before the PMV with the song "If Only" started up. And the person that was playing Applejack basically said, when if you listen to it and Spike walks away, Applejack is like, or the person portraying Applejack, who does a good job at portraying her voice, basically says, kind of sighs and says, "Spike, if you only knew." And it's like, okay, okay, so there are some people that support it. And here's what's interesting. This kind of goes in line with what I'm going to talk about later on. It's going to go in with what I talk about later on. Here's what's unique about this. Spike, of course, being the only male in the group, if you will. Hold on for a sec. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. But anyway, like it's like I said, it's just it's not just Applejack. What I'm trying to, what was I saying? Oh yeah, just trying to think there for a second. The thing is, it's not just Applejack and Spike either. And like I said, Spike being the only male of the group, of course, he's going to get shipped with some of the members of the group. There's no doubt about it. I mean, fans used to basically try to ship him with Twilight until basically it's acknowledged he's a little brother to Twilight, so that'd be like incense, if you will. Then again, you never know anymore with that. But point is, what I'm trying to get at, guys. Excuse me. Excuse me there. What I'm trying to get at basically, it's not just Applejack that Spike could get shipped with, just due to moments that happen in the show. Another character fans want to ship Spike with, just because now, ironically, not just based on what goes on in the comics, or they just feel it's kind of compatible, but another character pony-wise that they ship him with, especially after episode 200, or hashtag episode 200, is Princess Luna. They want to ship Spike with Luna, all because they conspired together to get the sibling supreme crown into his possession. Seriously, fans now, fans even if not much as before, even now want to ship these two together. Heck, you don't believe me? There's a picture, and I'll provide a link to it if I can find it. There's a picture that a fan did of these two sitting together, kind of posing together in a badass kind of way. It's like Luna's laying across the bed and Spike's just leaning right next to her, like, "Yeah, we're badass," kind of deal. You know, you don't screw with us, kind of deal. Something like that. Hold on for a sec. Sorry about that. I had to let my dog out for a second to go pod. I had to let my dog out to go potty. Anyway, like I said, it's ever since that, if not more so, if not a little bit, if not, I mean, basically, if you didn't have people shipping them before, you have people shipping them now because of that moment. That being Luna and Spike. But it's not just Luna or Applejack. Even episode 200 teased, and I'm gonna get and let's go into the next one I talked about. Teased another ship that I'll talk about. But even but here's the thing. Obviously, not a lot of people are fans of interspecies relationships in the show. I don't know why, especially if you watch She's All Yak. I think it pretty much throws that logic out of the way with a decent moral to go along with it, message and moral, or several actually. But the point is, based in that moral and message is it shouldn't matter what ethnic or cultural background or race you are or species you are. I like that kind of message. You know. Anyway, it's not just Spike with those characters, but for those that rather have characters be with their own species, ever since Ember came into the role into the fray, it's been teased that him and Ember should be together. And now, even with Smolder in the picture, people are teasing him and Smolder. And look, everybody has a right to their opinion as to who they feel is more compatible with who. Just because they have certain moments, they get along together, stuff like that. Now, it's not just now. Again, everybody has a right to their opinion on that, but here's the thing: going back to what I said about Applejack and Spike, these are just ships people look at and use moments in maybe videos, or they use moments in editorials or articles, thesis or whatever to justify to justify basically why these characters belong together or why they're more compatible to be together. One of the reasons some people say that Applejack and Spike are better is because at least Applejack treats Spike with respect. She doesn't manipulate him as some see Rarity does. But here's the thing. Spike has been portrayed, and again, I quote or paraphrase something, and I point out something that Finn the Pony said in his video. Spike is a capable young adult. It was proven in episode 200. And Spike has proven that over the past several seasons. His character has developed to the point that if Rarity was manipulating him and just using him and not returning the feelings that he has for her, Spike would have seen through that a long time ago. But here's the thing. I think Spike is wise to the fact that Rarity uses her feminine charms to get not just him, but others to do her job. And that's something that he finds maybe attractive, as crazy as that sounds. And maybe that's why he's willing to do stuff for her, because it allows him to spend more time with her. It allows him to know more about what her likes and dislikes are. And not only can he learn stuff from her as to being generous and creative and all that, but she can learn stuff from him as well. So I think Spike knows about it. And I know that might sound crazy to some people, but I think it's true. I think it's a fact that Spike knows. Spike's not, and here's the thing. Whether or not they have Spike come out and say that eventually, that's totally up to them. That's how I look at it. It's totally up to them. So, like I said, just drinking some Pepsi here. Oh, right in the face. A little squirts of the Pepsi that was left over squirted on my face. Anyway, what was I say? Oh yeah, I think Spike he knows what's going on. I think he knows, but whether or not they have him finally acknowledge it, I don't know. That's totally going to be up to the writers, and we'll see what happens. We will eventually see what happens. Now, speaking of ships, let's talk about those. Let's talk about some ships that, as I put it, that are possible, but we don't see coming. Basically what I said here is not only will we discuss ships that people justify because of moments and scenes that they see in the show, but also that are possible that we don't see coming, but certain moments in the show could prove otherwise. Yeah. We don't see coming, but certain moments in the show could prove otherwise. Now, going back to one ship that I was going to talk about, I wanted to save it for here. Fluttershy and Spike. Blank Slate, Blank Check, however you call them, did a blank reacts video to episode 200. And we had a moment, I had a scene in there where Spike and Fluttershy were talking about siblings. And basically they had a sweet and tender moment where Spike acknowledged that he always wanted to be part of the sibling supreme thing with rivalry with Shining Armor and Twilight, because he felt like the little brother, but they never treated him as much, at least till the end of the episode. Fluttershy consoles him and says, I know they both have a special place in their heart for you, but sibling dynamics could be hard, and to trust her on that. And Spike mentions Zephyr Breeze, and Fluttershy, she puts her hoof on his shoulder, it looks like, and says, he could learn a lot from you about being a little brother. And you kind of have like that little bit of a moment there. And one thing that Blank Slate, Blank Check pointed out is pointed out in his reaction was, because his reaction, basically, I should say, I've even mentioned this before, was his reaction was along the lines of, oh, the getting together, Fluttershy and Spike, that's crazy. That was Blank React's reaction, if you will. No offense to Blank Slate, Blank Check, if you will. But that was his reaction. And the reason he had that kind of reaction, and I'm sure some others had a similar reaction, is because right there, that moment, in the eyes of maybe a lot of fans, teased a possible Fluttershy-Spike relationship, which would be kind of ironic. Remember, when Fluttershy first met Spike, and even throughout early portions of the series, she had a fear of being around dragons. Spike and Ember being an exception, if you will, or Spike, Ember, and Smolder being an exception, but she still had this fear around dragons. Some fans, I think, commented and even mentioned that that would kind of make sense. That it would basically be a justification. It would kind of make sense. It would bring Fluttershy full circle when it comes to dragons. That if all of a sudden she's now dating a dragon. You know what I mean? Heck, a lot of people point out she's dating a Dragoness or being around a Dragoness in Discord. So it would make sense if she ended up with someone like Spike. But again, we don't know. I mean, they do have an episode upcoming a week from this Saturday, Smoky, what is Sweet and Smoky or something like that, where Smolder, Spike, and Fluttershy end up going to the Dragonlands. Fluttershy is going to be teaming with Spike and Smolder. So if you take Smolder out of the equation for the episode, it's basically a Spike Fluttershy episode. So that's really interesting that they would put them together again in this kind of environment. It's kind of interesting, kind of intriguing. But is that a ship that could possibly happen? Well, it's a ship basically that we wouldn't see coming. You know, that's possible, but we don't see coming. But due to a certain moment like that, and due to something upcoming in the next week or so, it could be one we don't see coming. I mean, even in Spike's fantasy in episode 200 of him and Fluttershy being super spies, I mean, I'm just saying, it could possibly happen. We don't know. We don't really know. I mean, it is a strong possibility that we don't see coming. Hold on for a sec. Okay, I'm back, guys. Sorry about that. I had to let my dog back in. Anyway, it would be a relationship we would not see coming. We wouldn't see it coming, guys. But based off, like I said, the scenes in episode 200 and everything, the fantasy scene, and then that little tender scene between them, talking about siblings, and then what you're getting in episode in the next a week from now, if you will, or if you live in Italy tomorrow, because apparently episodes are coming out early now again. Um, basically, sorry about that, but basically, it's one of those possibilities that you don't see coming. And again, it's up to what the staff will have in store for us, especially as we get towards the end of the series. And what's funny is this does also relate to Applejack and Spike, because again, go back to Best Gift Ever. You don't see, or not see, but you don't see basically. Well, what I'm trying to say is you don't see the Easter egg, the little hint, the little acknowledgement by the creative staff in the way they had. Spike. He ended. Eventually when he got Rarity through the fast talk with Fluttershy. But what you don't realize until after he leaves and Applejack comes up to Fluttershy, that she has Spike. So basically, the creative staff knows what they were doing. Acknowledges the shippers out there. Of course, Rare Spike, Sparity, if you will, and even the Applejack, Apple Spike ones. So it's like, could that possibly happen? Some would say it's a long shot in the dark, but you know what? I wouldn't put it past the creative staff to do it. I really wouldn't, guys. Honestly, I wouldn't, because it would be something that honestly people would expect, but in the long run would not really see coming because maybe they don't think it ever would. Maybe they just write it off the ballot, like, nah, it'll never happen. Spike and Applejack would never happen. Again, we don't know. Again, we don't know if that's true or not. A lot of things are possible. A lot of things are possible, but to me, when you look at Fluttershy Spike and Applejack Spike, it's one of those ships that you don't see coming, but possibly could happen due to certain moments. You know, these are ships that, like I said, are probable, but you don't see are possible, but you don't see coming. I mean, in anything, but due to certain moments, or at least that's. Let me see. See. Hold on. Yeah, like I said, some that are possible that we don't see coming, but certain moments in the show could prove otherwise. Like I said, those moments with Fluttershy and Spike in 200, and possibly what we'll get in the next episode a week from now or tomorrow, depending. Because if you live in Italy, that's when it's going to come out. Or even Applejack and Spike, due to certain moments and stuff they've had. A lot of people, they're all possibilities, and these are ships that we are possible, but we don't see coming, but moments in the show could prove otherwise. And again, you wouldn't see a lot of stuff coming. I mean, like, okay, a lot of people would think, okay, Twilight should be with Flash Sentry in some way, right? What if Twilight ends up with Sunburst? You wouldn't see that coming, but that's possible. That is possible. There's no doubt about it. That could be a ship that, let's say they do that epilogue that shows things a few years in the future, shows the School of Friendship is still up and going, and you have this new class of students coming in, and all of a sudden here comes Twilight's daughter or son right next to Sunburst. I'm just saying. And that could open the door for, let's say, again, Spike being put into this predicament. Starlight and Spike. Again, and I know I'm using Spike as an example and everything, but people will point out certain moments. Go on YouTube here. Go here on YouTube, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Type in Starlight X Spike. Put in Starlight X Spike X and then Spike, and then put in moments. You'll see what I'm talking about. Same with Applejack and Spike. What I'm saying is there are ships that could happen that you don't see coming, that you'd be surprised by if somehow they're acknowledged before the show's out. Like I said, if you get a future scene and all that. For example, a lot of fans don't think Zephyr Breeze and Rainbow Dash could work. But guess what? What if the staff said, okay, we're going to do this epilogue scene at the end of the series where even after Twilight or Starlight shuts the book on the whole, closes the final page on the book that basically opened up the story, opened up the series for us. And all of a sudden, here comes this new class of students, and next thing you know, here comes Zephyr Breeze and Rainbow Dash with a kid of their own. That'd be a surprise. No one would see it coming. Again, no one would see that coming. The point is, guys, the point is, when it comes to shipping of characters in the show, it's totally up to not just what the staff sees or the staff would consider potentially a good ship, or at least a good ship to tease, but it's also up to the fans and what their thoughts are. And again, the staff does listen to the fans. Let's not lie to ourselves there. And this is why, in the end, I think certain ships that we've been wanting to see happen, we've been wanting some closure to, some resolution, what have you, are going to happen. Because like I said, the creative staff could surprise us. They could say, we'll put we'll do a future scene at the end of the series, an epilogue, if you will, and we'll introduce this new generation. And in comes Applejack and Spike and a kid of their own. In comes Rarity and Tenderhoof and a kid of their own. Here comes Twilight and Sunburst, kid of their own. You get what I'm saying? Possibilities are there. Whether or not they decide to go that route is another story. But I think the safe bet is they will officially make certain ships that have yet to really get that, resolution, that closure. They will make them, most of those, official before the series is out. A lot of us know that. The staff knows that. But again, it's up to them what they want, and it's also up to the fans to kind of be like, and it's all and it's sorry, my finger, the mic, my headset, my hand hit the headset there. But it's also up to, like I said, it's not just up to the staff, but it's also up to the fans. You see, the fans have to show strongly what ships they'd want to see. And whether or not they get the ships, whether or not they get these ships official before the show's out, they still have their own dedication to it. And some fans will make animations. Some fans will make webcomics. Some fans will make fan fictions to basically finalize in their minds the ship they want. So the shipping of characters, though, again, it's something that has been going on since the beginning of the series. Again, the one that I think a lot of fans are hoping we get closer to, and I think we're going to get it, I believe we are, is Spike and Rarity. Those two are going to probably, without a shadow of a doubt, end up together. We just don't know where, how, and when. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are probably asking, well, Brian, you bring up this whole epilogue thing, future thing. Why are you bringing that up? Here's the thing. Ever hear of Digimon? Digital monsters? Well, it ran for about two to three seasons, the original Digimon, as we know them, with, Agumon, Gatomon, that. It ran for about 2 to 3 seasons. In the final moments, in the final scenes of the very last episode of that original run, we saw and we got a glimpse of the future. We got a glimpse of all the original both groups, both Digimon groups, tamers, trainers, whatever you want to call them. And we saw them all grown up, and they had families. And some of them were married off to the other ones. That's not a lie. That's not a lie. And some of the surprise marriages, ships, if you will, that we saw at the end of that, some were not, there were fans that were not happy about it. Like Sora, I think it was Sora and Matt were together instead of Sora and TK. Or Sora and Tai, I should say. Not a lot of fans were happy about the fact that Matt, I should say, got Sora. They wanted Sora and Tai. So, yeah, there are moments like that that could potentially happen. And there was a ship that fans pretty much saw was a possibility, was teased when they were young, that did go all the way, get married, have kids of their own. And that was on the second group of Digimon trainers or masters or whatever in the original series. The point is the reason I bring that up is because if a show, an anime show like that, which got Americanized and became popular on the West Coast, can give us a scene like that, and many shows have done it in the past as well, animated and live action, then I'm not going to put it past MLPFIM to pull something out like that as well. I mean, it's been going for almost a decade, so I wouldn't put it past the staff to probably pull something like that out to officially end the show with, and maybe give us a glimpse of the future. And through that epilogue and that future scene before the show comes to an end, we get to see maybe certain ships finally officialized, and maybe see families coming that come out of it. Who knows? A new generation, I should say. But it's totally up to, in my opinion, it's totally up to what we get in the long run. It really is. It's totally up to what we get in the long run. on what they have planned and all that. So we'll have to wait and see. But I truly believe, honestly, guys, that when it comes to shipping of characters, there are ships that have yet to get that official closure resolution that I think are going to get it. Whether it's during the second half, somewhat through the second half, or even at the end of the series, like I mentioned, in a possible way that they could do it. I think we're going to get them. I think we're going to get Sparity officialized. I think we're going to get Fluttershy Discord officialized. I think, in a sense, we are going to get Sandbar and Yona officialized. So it's all going to happen. It's all going to happen, and I think some fans need to realize that. Need to excuse me. They need to realize that no matter how they look at it. So, to me, I'll put it this way: there's an old saying called "to each their own," right? To each their own, and that is probably the best way of looking at it is to each their own. To each their own. And how do I put this? Like I said, to each their own. And if you like a certain ship and you feel it's justified, more power to you. That's the way I look at it. But ships, it doesn't matter what fandom they are always going to be one of the more debated and discussed because fans want certain characters to be with certain characters. But to say that shipping when it comes to friendship is magic is probably one of the more discussed and debated and opened, if you will, to interpretation that I've ever seen in a while. It's just phenomenal to see because it shows that fans want certain ships to happen. They want certain moments to happen. They want certain characters to be together. And I think honestly, now that we're in the home stretch of the series, in the final season, I think that's what we're getting because, as I've mentioned before, what this is doing basically is the writers are showing the evolution of friendship into something more, depending on certain characters. I mean, you go back and you look at Best Gift Ever when Spike sang his portion of True Gifted Giving to Rarity, and it was more like a serenade romance love song. That's like taking the next step with these characters. Taking the next step in that friendship relationship between those characters. So the next step after that is obviously to officially make it official. When and where that will happen is totally up to the staff and how they do it. But everybody has their own opinions as to who they feel should be with who, and that's fine. That's fine. Again, I'm not trying to say you need to like what I like. You need to support the ship I want to support. If you want a certain ship to happen, fine. But and again, here's the thing: we don't know how the when the show comes to an end and they decide, okay, well, let's put some romance in there. Let's officialize certain ships. We don't know what they're going to give us. For all we know, they might give us Applejack and Spike or Fluttershy and Spike. Or Sunburst and Twilight. We don't know. So it's totally up to it's totally up to what the creative staff wants, and well, not just up to the creative staff, but it's also up to what the fans kind of are very vocal about. So who they support probably more than anything. But anyway, guys, that's all I'm going to say on the shipping of characters in MLP. I know that sometimes talking about ships, romantic ships in a show like this doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but when you pretty much when you pretty much utilize any media based on friendship is magic to acknowledge it, or even give it a moment or something like that, it's hard. It's unavoidable not to talk about it. You know, Sandbar and Yona is a ship that I don't think anybody possibly saw being teased. I know Map never saw it being something, and he's hopeful that it doesn't officially become something. But like I said, you take a look at that one of those final scenes when they embrace, and you have that shooting star go across in the background, and you have Yona's leg go awkwardly up like it's in a kissing position. It's like, how else are you going to interpret that? But again, I it's up to anybody's. It's people have people have a different way of interpreting it, and if someone like Map or AC Race Best or Saber Spark or the people at Semi Perfect Podcast, which is going to be coming on tonight in a couple of hours, um, you know, it's like if if they feel certain ship, if they're more fans of different kind of ships and all that, more again, like I said earlier, more power to them. And again, like I said, I know it's hard at times to talk about it, but you know what? When they do certain moments in this, the staff does certain moments like what they did with Cheese All Yak, it's going to get people talking. It's going to bring up the shipping thing again. It's going to bring up people explaining why it's a good ship and to why it should be supported. Some will come up and say, no, it shouldn't be. And this is why. And this is why this parent, this is why this character should be with this character. And, it's going to get people talking again. So, but really, that's all I can say, guys, on the whole shipping of characters in MLP. I know I probably didn't make a lick of sense here, or I kind of rambled on, so I do apologize. But I just thought I'd come on here, give my own 2 cents on shipping, on the shipping situation in the show, especially the fact that just for the fact that you have, like I said, you have an episode bring that kind of brings it all up again. It's like I said earlier, it's unavoidable. But yeah, that's really all I can say. I mean, hopefully, I made some sense to you guys, and if I didn't, I do apologize. And my battery on my mouse just died. To fix that a little bit, there we go. So my mouse just died on my thing here. Whoops. So I have to. Oh, there we go. But anyway, I don't know. Maybe was it doing an update? I'm always thinking the thing's doing an update or something. But anyway, that's really all I can say, guys, on this topic. Let me know what you all think down below. Comment if you like. Comment if you like. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about it. What your thoughts are on the whole shipping situation. What do you think is probably, who's your favorite ships to go with and you feel should be acknowledged? Let me know down below. Comment if you like. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say on it and everything. And really, that's Hold on, guys. Just trying to figure something out here. Like I said, my mouse just died on me. But yeah, let me know what you all think down below. Comment if you like. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, and what ships you support. And again, I know I probably sounded like I rambled on, but I just wanted to get this off my chest. Because again, when you have an episode like this come on and you get people talking about it and it kind of sinks or potentially sinks or starts putting holes in a certain ship that fans want but looks like they won't get, of course it's going to get people talking about other ships potentially that could happen and may end up sinking other ships that fans want, as well. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say, guys. So till next time, let me know down below what you thought. Thank you all for watching, listening live to this audio only live stream, if you will. And I will, talk to you. Trying to charge up my thing here. I will talk to you all later. God bless. Take care.